like it's working.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like we are back on, very excitingly. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is we're just going to keep going. And as I said at the beginning, if you want copies of the slides or handout or something that you feel like you might have missed, I will make sure that we put our contact information into the chat. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. You can reach me at lara@aldridgepalay.com. And also, if you're interested in hearing some of the longer content that we have for some of this, but hopefully that's visible for you guys. Okay, so going back to what we were talking about in terms of how we regulate ourselves, because it's really hard to go from intense dysregulation right into trying to get back into compassion. So we're going to do a brief breathing exercise. And as I was saying, this was discovered by Dr. Herbert Benson at Harvard when he was working with his patients to try to lower blood pressure, heart rate, all of those things. So I invite you to put your pens away, put your phones away, just sort of get settled in your chair. If you are petite American, such as myself, and your feet don't touch, then that's okay. But if your feet reach the floor, go ahead and put your feet flat on the floor and let yourself just sort of get settled. And I'm going to have you just take a moment to breathe. That's all we're going to be doing. And we're not doing any kind of like fancy special breathing or anything like that. But this time when you're breathing, I want you to, on your out breath, say to yourself in your head only, just inside, a phrase to yourself. And this needs to be something that is meaningful or inspiring to you, but is also short enough that you can say it in one out breath, right? So you probably won't be able to say the whole Lord's Prayer, but you might take a breath out and think, Our Father who art in heaven, or let it be, or whatever that is. And that's fine. So when I tell you, go ahead, you're welcome to drop your gaze. If you're comfortable with that, you can close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. It really doesn't matter. And just take a moment and begin. Just saying your phrase to yourself on your out breath only. If you become distracted by a sensation or a thought, just notice that without judgment. Go back to your breath and your phrase. Then go ahead and release that. If you've closed your eyes, open your eyes. Take a moment and just check in with yourself. Notice what your sensations, your feelings, and your thoughts are. And if you choose to, if you want to put it in the comment section, just let us know a little bit about what you're noticing. What happens when Dr. Benson would have his patients just breathe and say their phrase to themselves in their head, choosing something that was peaceful or soothing or inspiring or meaningful to them. Then, of course, what he would notice is their heart rate starts to slow, their blood pressure would start to come down a little bit, and that's great. And then, of course, as soon as they stopped, it would all go right back up again. What he discovered was that when he would have his patients do this, I think he had them doing it twice a day, working up to about 10 or 20 minutes at a time, then they started to see some of the lasting effects of this, which is not terribly surprising for us now. What he discovered that he didn't expect to discover is that his patients started telling them that when they were in a stressful situation, at work, at home, whatever, if they had been practicing, and the more they practiced, the stronger the effect was, of course, that if they took a breath and said this phrase to themselves in their head a couple of times, it would start to work. Their blood pressure would start to decrease a little bit. Their heart rate would start to slow a little bit. Their body would sort of go, oh, okay, I know what we're doing. And that was really helpful in starting to turn the tide a little bit when they were in the middle of a stressful situation. And I've taught this to a lot of audiences. I taught it to my staff when I was a supervisor. I teach it to my students because often we are in situations where we can't just leave. You can't just leave this, stressful family meeting that you're in the middle of and say, I'm just going to go do a yoga class. I'll be back in about 2 hours. Does anyone want a smoothie? Like you can't do that. And so having this kind of in your back pocket, and there are other similar techniques, I like this one, is helpful to start to re-regulate. Now it's not a magic bullet, so you might then need to do other things. You might need to walk out, take a break, whatever it is, talk to somebody. But in the moment, it will help you start to re-regulate and get back into that window of tolerance. And as you're starting to do that, then you can work on moving into that compassionate stance to insulate you a little bit from the intense emotional material you may be exposed to, and to actually make you more effective potentially as a helper. So the last thing that I want to be doing with you guys today in our time together is a technique that has actually been studied to shift brain function from that emotional empathy to the compassionate empathy. Now, this is a small study, and this is, as I mentioned, a very new area of research. So stay tuned. We're going to be learning a lot more. But in the study that was done, they observed this actually changing the brain function. So again, I'm going to invite you to join me in doing this. It is completely okay if you don't want to. And those of you who are going to be doing this with me, all we're going to be doing is sitting quietly, and I am going to say a series of intentions that you are going to set for yourself. Now listen carefully, opera conference folks. I know my audience, and I know that many of you have a hard time not. It's really important that first set of intentions for yourself. Okay. And then what I'm going to have you do, now I've done this with live audiences where we've kind of partnered up, and for this, it turns out to work just as well. I'm going to have you visualize someone that you really love sitting across from you. Okay. So you're going to picture this person you really care about, you really love, and then you're going to set that same set of intentions for them. Okay. So we're going to go through it once where you set those intentions for yourself, and then you'll imagine this person across from you, and you're going to set the intentions for them. Okay? So again, if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes if that's helpful, or you can lower your gaze. That's fine. Don't bother writing anything down or looking at your phone or anything like that. For a few moments together, we're just going to be doing one thing at a time, which is, I think, kind of renewing just in and of itself. Maybe take a breath and let it out. If you like imagining something that's significant or meaningful to you, like a circle of healing light, or if there's a religious image that's significant to you, maybe you can imagine that as well as you're setting this intention first for yourself. May I have happiness and the causes of happiness. May I be free from fear. May I be free from danger. If I do experience danger, may I be free from physical harm. If I do experience physical harm, may I be free from emotional harm. May I be free from danger and free from fear. May I have happiness and the causes of happiness. And now switch your awareness. See that person that you really, really care about in front of you. May you have happiness and the causes of happiness. May you be free from fear. May you be free from danger. If you do experience danger, may you be free from physical harm. If you do experience physical harm, may you be free from emotional harm. May you be free from danger and free from fear. May you have happiness and the causes of happiness. And then maybe just rest for a moment. Just taking a moment with nothing to do, nothing to fix, nothing to solve, nothing that's missing, nothing you need to buy or achieve. Just being is enough. And then